Welcome back. At the outset of the program, I made a little bit of a joke about the fact that we live in a beautiful place here in Park City where, for the most part, we really don't have to think about considerations like our personal physical safety. That being said, of course, we're all out and about in the world, and we do need to be concerned about our personal safety. Need to know how to take care of ourselves. My first guest this evening is a guy who knows how to do just that, and we're going to discuss maybe just a few tips and maybe just some ways to be a little bit more aware of your surroundings so that you can avoid any sorts of danger or confrontations before they even happen. It's my pleasure to welcome to the program from right here in Park City, Dave Panarelli. How are you, brother?
Good.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you
Thanks
too.
for coming in.
Absolutely.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. Pretty good, thanks.
Yeah, what's new?
Yeah.
Springtime.
Yeah, warm weather.
Lovely
which is
thing.
nice. Yeah, skiing's over.
Yeah.
Rack those things, now it's on to other stuff, so.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yep.
So this is a topic that is on your mind, is of a concern for you on a regular basis, and you spend a lot of your time helping other people be more aware. Talk a little bit about, I guess, maybe kind of your background and maybe
Sure.
how you became interested in being a participant in this sort of thing. Were you in a wrestling or any of those, or boxing or any sports like that kind of got you into this realm, so to speak?
Absolutely, yeah, a long time ago. 26 years now, martial arts training. Started back on the East Coast where I used to live, and been out here for about 13 and a half years, almost 14. So studied a style of martial arts, very eclectic, judo, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, Shotokan, karate, kind of all blended together and everything. So it was very, very eclectic. And I have a third-degree black belt in that particular style. Need to continue working with that as well. But I also felt like there was some other pieces missing and everything, so I studied the Filipino stick and knife, which I love, and kind of utilized those applications. I think next to a gun, as far as a weapon, if you understand the knife mechanics and a stick, you know, anybody can carry a knife, but if you understand the stick movements and things like that, then you know, it's one of the more practical types of weapons that you can carry or be familiar or use something, you know, in order to protect yourself. So studied the Filipino arts and to help kind of fill some of that gap that I felt that I was missing with self-defense specifically. And I always kind of wanted to, well, I used to teach in my instructor school and everything, and I've always taught privately, and I've done some stuff out here. Wanted to establish a school, but I didn't necessarily want to have a brick and mortar kind of building, and I felt like that would kind of lock me into one thing, and I didn't want that to take place. So about 2.5 years ago, I started this, the Progressive Defense Tactics LLC, which is a mobile company, and it's focusing all on self-defense, safety, street awareness, applications on escape. So it's all scenario based, and what do you do when somebody comes at you, you know, escaping. And I do a women's specific street safety awareness rape prevention class. Worked with Summit County Sheriff's Department about 1.5 years, knife disarming techniques and everything. And so just trying to fill that void that I think is a real vital part, and creating that awareness and building from there. Empowering people basically is my thing.
Yeah, that certainly is the heart of it, and it occurs to me that, you know, in the year 2018, obviously with Me Too movement and the fact that many women are coming forward and sharing horrible experiences that they've had.
Very traumatic.
And I know, because of knowing you, that you've done these female-focused classes, but by the same token, it occurs to me, and I kind of jokingly used myself as an example, but I'm kind of blithely ignorant of really what would happen if I found myself in a bad situation. And again, we joke about Park City being such a
so safe,
such an easy, friendly place, but you don't take Park City with you when you go down to Salt Lake, or get on a plane and go and have a late dinner in Manhattan, and you're walking on the sidewalk, and you're fair game in those kinds of situations when you're out in public. If you would talk a little bit about kind of how you design a course, and I guess specifically, and maybe the best benefit for our conversation today would be someone like me who doesn't really have any particular training or experience other than getting tackled by some of the best wrestlers in the country during my high school years. But other than that, I kind of wouldn't know where to start. Talk about how you put physical and mental together as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time I meet somebody, find out a little bit about their background, and then meet you at your level. So if you've had training, great, we'll start with what you know, and then we just kind of build from there. So everything I do is centered around your capabilities and what you can and can't do. Like, there's going to be things that I can do that work for me that not necessarily going to work for you. And for somebody else, and it all depends on body type and physical abilities and things like that. So if I share a technique with you, my goal is for you to own it and it becomes your technique. However, you need to tweak the technique in order to make it work for you. So I'll introduce something, and then we work with it until it works or is comfortable for you. So it's always about meeting the individual at their own abilities, and then building, their strengths at that point in time, and expanding their strengths, and then taking their weaknesses, and then expanding that as well. So everything becomes a strength. So. Yeah, it's just kind of meet you where you're at.
Yeah, it occurs to me, and as you were speaking right off the beginning of our conversation about your experience of studying various styles of martial arts, and almost, it sounds like it was a pretty evolutionary thing for you to go, I need more, that's not quite here for me kind of thing. And what I'm hearing is that you're passing that sort of, kind of the living art on to your clients, to your students, in a way that gets them thinking right off the bat, and I love that you say owning it rather than it sort of being like, okay, I gotta excuse me, mugger, I gotta get my notes out and do A.
Right, because everything that you do has to, when an attack comes, it's spontaneous, and you never know when it's gonna come, and that's the thing. And when we talk about being safe, like safe in Park City, you're not safe anywhere, because you have no idea when something's going to come at you, and even in your home. So being prepared mentally, it's all about your reaction time. The quicker you can respond to the stimulus, the quicker you're going to be able to get to safety, get yourself out of the situation. So that's kind of the thing, is how fast can you respond, and do what you need to do to be safe and not get hurt. And it is all about minimizing the harm on yourself. And of course, there's always a moral obligation in there, so you have to be aware of that. And with this, there's different things that can take place, and you could be the one that's going to court. If somebody jumped you, you might be facing assault charges. So you have to have those things into consideration. I share that information as well. But yeah, it really comes back to a stimulus comes at you. How are you going to respond? What are you going to do? And so things have to come from a subconscious level. So again, it comes back to you owning the technique. It's not you got to do everything A, B, C, D, and if you go out of order in any kind of way, oh man, I'm screwed. What's going to happen at this point in time? So there is, I like what you said about live. There's a liveness to it, because you're in the moment and everything is happening. But there's so many variables that can take place. And so if you're stuck on this step 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing, something goes wrong in between those steps, and you can't function. Just like musically, if you can't improvise with something going on,
great analogy.
yeah, you're kind of stuck.
Got to be in the moment.
Absolutely in the moment. So the techniques have to be able to work from a subconscious mindset, basically, and you're able to compensate for any changes. It's never going to be pretty. It's never going to go the way you train.
Right.
Again, there's too many variables. You know, you have weather condition, rain, snow, ice, cold, blood. You know, so it's and you always have to think about those things. They have to be conscious. So yeah, it's live, and you've got to be able to go with it. But the faster you can react to it, the better off you're going to be.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's take a break and maybe do a little bit of something here that might be a little bit interactive. And again, for folks like me at home who may not really have any experience, maybe just one or two things to just try to diffuse a situation.
Sure.
Fantastic.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back. We'll get some self-defense tips from our pal Dave Panarelli right after this. Please stay tuned. Hey, you guys, welcome back. It's Dave Panarelli from Progressive Defense Tactics. Did I get it right?
Absolutely.
I got it right.
Yeah.
Progressive Defense Tactics. We're talking about the ways in which to keep yourself as safe as possible when you're out in public, and maybe you're down in Salt Lake, maybe you've been to a concert or an event or something, and as you said, and I thought, you know, it was a little, I'll be honest, it bothered me a little bit, but in a positive way when you said, you're never safe. And
it usually bothers a lot of people saying that.
Yeah, but by the same token, it's true. I mean, I think that we put a little mental thing over us. Like, it's going to be, you know,
I've got this bubble around me. No, who's going to touch me? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're not thinking about it.
Right.
So show me a little something that we could take with us, so to speak, that you would share with a new student in one of your classes, as far as any kind of a confrontation.
Yeah, the first thing I'm always talking about is awareness and creating that mindset and understanding how you're being perceived to others, and that's really what it comes down to. You have an assailant walking the streets, they're scoping out and they're looking for somebody that they can overpower because they want maximum gain and least amount of resistance. So there's definitely your appearance and how you're conducting yourself in public is an important thing. So number one, I always start thinking about that. How are you being perceived by somebody else and everything? So always carrying yourself, you know, shoulders back and tall and everything, confident, looking at people in the eye as you walk by. That's a hard thing to do for a lot of people, but that sends a real big message too. When you have somebody that's kind of sketchy looking walking at you, if you look at them, it sends a message where like, oh, shoot, if I attack that person, they could identify me in a lineup. So that might be something right there.
And there's an interesting fact to put that together with that would not have occurred to me, but when you give them a look, you're going into the criminal mind, not into the mind of you and me are just trying to be friendly walking down the street, but that person is wanting to get away with it, whatever it is.
Right. One of the things I talk about is if somebody approaches you or whatever and gets aggressive with you, you know, don't keep your hands down here. Don't keep them in your pocket or even folded. This is kind of an aggressive nature, that you're an aggressive kind of pose or something like this, you know. But as soon as somebody starts approaching you and starts kind of, hey, you know, doing whatever to you, getting aggressive with it, getting in your space, bring your hands up here and just. You're like, hey man, I don't want any trouble, you know. What do you need? What's, you know, what am I doing? What's wrong? You know, the whole idea is this is like it's your center line, but it's also more of a point of index for you. So you're already at the point where you can defend yourself a lot easier if they were to lunge at you, if they were to throw a punch at you, know, somebody threw a punch at you, your hands are here.
Just to naturally protect.
Yeah, exactly. But even
from here,
you have a greater distance to be able to move from here to here. But this is very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, I suppose it kind of signals a preparedness too, that you're conscious of what the situation is like.
Yeah.
As opposed to having your hands by your sides and kind of going, oh, I'm not trying to be aggressive or anything like that, which is it's too late for that.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I don't want any trouble or anything like that. Right. This is a very common language that people will do, you know, to put their hands up and everything. What they don't know is you're ready at that point if they need to do something. And if they would lunge at you, my thing is breath, sight, mobility. So if you take breath, sight, mobility. So if you take the breath away, and it doesn't matter how big they are, you take their breath away, you know, you're not going to be able to necessarily, you're going to be too busy choking or whatever. Take somebody's sight away as well. And then mobility would be the accessibility for somebody to chase you. So, and the quickest way with that is taking somebody's knees out. And it doesn't take a great amount of pressure against the joint to take somebody's knees out. Just long enough for you to be able to run, basically. You know, your best asset is to run.
That was going to be my question, because in the end, the biggest thing is you want to put space between you and an attacker, right?
Right, because you want to live for another day. It's not about being macho or ego, about, oh, I'm going to take you out kind of thing. If it comes to that, you're prepared and you can do that, and you can perform, you know, that physical thing. But
so if somebody lunges at me and I'm here, I mean, I know that my first instinct is going to want to be to create that space, even if I've got my hands up.
Yeah, create
I'm going to do this.
Now, one thing you don't want to do is move in a straight line.
This way, just so we're facing those guys a little bit.
Okay, so you always want to sidestep, so you don't want to move in a linear fashion, because you might be able to get a couple of steps back, but at some point you're going to move off your center line and you're going to go down. So it's more about when your hands come up, don't be square and be more of an athletic stance. Now, you don't have to be aggressive. Yeah, but at that point, so somebody lunges, you know, you're able to step more to the side. But the whole breath thing is, you know, so my hands are up, you're the bad guy, and I want you to kind of come at me. Right. My hands are here, so I'm going right in for the throat. Right. So my hands are already here. Yeah. So where you went for both my hands, which is, and then I'm just going to find that space, but I'm here so I can go right into the throat. And if you can hit the throat, hit the trachea, take the breath away. If you can go for the eyes, go for the eyes. Soft tissue, it doesn't matter how big you are, soft tissue is still soft tissue, and it's going to hurt. So that would be the thing in initial. Now, if somebody was to like grab you, so if you actually grab one of my arms, either, so here, okay, so here's a quick little point. You took two weapons away from yourself, and I still have more.
Right, because your hands are open.
Yeah, so you always have to remember you always have options. So where you took both your hands just for my arm, that's okay. I don't mind.
Right, because now you're wide open.
Yeah, exactly. So I can. Now the other thing is you don't want to be afraid to get close to the person. You have to get close because you have to gain leverage, and then you can also perform your techniques. So even if you were going to do like a single wrist, so you can do something as just kind of sweeping. So you're just kind of rotating like this, rotating.
And there's really nothing.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
I can't have a hard enough grip to be able to prevent
so you could be here, you could, you know, defensively, you grab my arm, so wrist, here, I could, you know, you just kind of sweep out to the side, right. Yeah. Now, say you grab my throat. So if you actually went like this, right. So here, you don't want to go back like this. For one, your head's going to go off your center line, and you can go down on the ground. You want to avoid the ground as best you can. So if you were to grab here, you kind of want to tuck here. What I like to do, and I'm just kind of programmed to bring one hand on here, and I trap your hand, so I keep it in place, actually. But now, here, I'm going to go and strike at that point. So you may lunge, and you may go right for my throat, And go ahead and do that. So I'm going to here, but now where I'm holding and trapping, I also have leverage because I'm gaining leverage from you and I'm gaining stability.
Right, and I've stepped forward, so I'm,
right. So
as you say, I'm off my center line. I can feel it already.
Yeah, exactly.
Just being in this position for a minute.
So I could continue backwards. I could do this sort of thing and pull you with me, or I can pivot. You know, I can come into the joint here, collapse the joint, even though your hand is still here. So I can, you know, do something like this.
Right,
or
and now
I can just hit you right in the throat.
Right, right.
So, yeah.
It's good stuff. Can we make peace?
Yeah.
We're gonna hug. We're gonna hug it out, just because there was no ill intent happening here.
Absolutely.
Dave, that's really cool stuff. Tell folks where they can get a hold of you, because I feel like you know, we're just getting started here, and of course we're in the context of a television program.
Yeah.
But tell folks where they can find you and to get some really good training.
Sure thing. ProgressiveDefenseTactics.com. Spell it right out. No spaces.com. I've got full website there. All the contact information is on there. Phone number 435-640-9066.
9066.
9066. Yeah, I'm also on Facebook. So
great stuff.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, my friend.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the tips. I'll be, without being corny, I think I'll be a little bit more conscious and mindful. And really, in the end,
that's the goal.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here. It's great to see you, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, you guys, we're going to take a quick break. Dave and I are just going to have a really nice time during the commercial break. And when we come back, more music from Tristan Cole, because we love you.